On January 1st, 2026, Mitchellville, Iowa entered the new year without a police force. Every officer resigned, the entire department, all shifts, all response capability. 2,500 residents were left without local law enforcement in a town that houses the Iowa Correctional Institution for Women, a state prison with approximately 888 female inmates. The institutions that kept this community functioning collapsed under the weight of their own failures, and the people paying the price had nothing to do with creating the problem. Jerry Butler has lived in Mitchellville for decades. When asked about response times under county coverage, he said that if it is a shooting or a bank robbery, the town needs somebody here full-time. He said he does not know if a 24-hour police force is required, but at minimum, someone should be on call so that in an emergency, a responder can arrive in 10 to 15 minutes. That, he said, is what the town needs. The Polk County Sheriff's Office now provides coverage 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. As of early January, no formal contract had been worked out. The city will be billed. Taxpayers will pay an unknown amount. When someone in Mitchellville calls for help, they wait for deputies to arrive from somewhere else. In an emergency, 10 to 15 minutes can be the difference between intervention and tragedy. The warning signs were visible for months. They were documented and reported. In August 2025, the Mitchellville City Council voted to fire City Administrator Gary Brown. All but one council member supported the decision after what the city described as a prolonged dispute with Mayor Jessica Trobaga. Brown had accused 2 City Hall employees of violating city policies and claimed they retaliated with false harassment allegations. An outside investigator was hired, recommended Brown's termination, but the report was never made public. At the same meeting, the council named Police Chief William Daggett as temporary city administrator. Daggett would hold both positions, police chief and interim city administrator. Brown hired an attorney and planned to sue the city for harassment and defamation. Councilmember Amber Turner expressed concern about the process. She said she did not believe the way the council chose the investigator for the third-party investigation was correct. She said she had voiced her concerns, but they went on deaf ears. She said she did not think the process had been handled the way it should have been. Some residents supported the council's decision. Brittany Connell, a Mitchellville resident, said she was happy that the truth had come out and that the city could move forward together. She said many people were glad that the council had finally come together and made the right decision. On November 6, 2025, Iowa State Auditor Rob Sand released a special investigation report on the city of Baxter, where William Daggett had previously served as police chief. The report detailed systematic fraud. Between July and September of 2022, Daggett worked as police chief in both Baxter and Van Meter at the same time. Investigators found 18 instances where his timesheets claimed he was on duty in both cities on the same dates at the same times, 64.88 duplicated hours. Baxter paid him $2,663 for time he did not work. Van Meter paid him $2,201. The audit uncovered 36 payroll checks that included hours beyond what Daggett actually worked, $41,944 in fraudulent payroll. Total improper compensation exceeded $51,000. Investigators found a significant gap between when Daggett's timesheets claimed he was on duty and when he actually called dispatch to report availability. City officials in Baxter had concerns about firearms purchased by the city that were no longer in the city's possession. When confronted about a missing firearm, Daggett denied having it. He said all the guns were traded, there is no extra firearm. I do not know where the hell that is coming from. There is no extra missing firearm. I do not have possession of any firearm from the city of Baxter. I would not do that. I mean, I buy guns. Why would I do that? Come on, it would be stupid. No documentation exists showing any firearm was traded. Hours after the report's release on November 6, 2025, William Daggett resigned from Mitchellville. The next day, the Mitchellville City Council held a special meeting, voted to hire an outside investigator, and accepted Daggett's resignation. Elaine Webb, who had lived in Mitchellville since childhood, described the impact. "We used to have a great community, but this has really torn us apart. Torn us apart. People are hating each other." Gary Brown, the fired city administrator, said that he was not surprised when this happened. Incoming Mayor Tony Jensen said that we can only go up because I think we are pretty low. We have a lot of positive people taking office, and we all want to work together, so it should move forward better from here. On November 11th, Hezekiah Applegate was appointed interim police chief. 35 days later, on December 16th, Applegate stood before the city council and announced his resignation, effective December 26th. One part-time officer and 4 reserve officers resigned the same day. Applegate said he had been offered a position at a different department earlier that month, but he chose to stay through the holidays to ease the transition. After December 26th, the city had 2 full-time officers and 1 reserve officer remaining. A resident speaking off camera said that it was a surprise, but with what is happening in our town right now, nothing is a surprise anymore. On January 1st, 2026, the last 2 full-time officers resigned. Mayor-elect Tony Jensen confirmed the departure. He said he wanted residents to know that the entire police department had resigned as of January 1st, 2026. Jerry Butler explained what he believed was happening. He said officers did not want to deal with the new council and the new mayor and everything else that was going on, so they were going to bail. The city immediately coordinated with the Polk County Sheriff's Office for coverage. Jensen told residents the county would provide around-the-clock coverage. He said yes, the county would bill the city for it, because nothing is free, and the county would cover Mitchellville until it got back on its feet. Mitchellville residents will pay for law enforcement services that were already being provided by officers they had already been paying. The cost remains unknown because no formal agreement has been finalized. On January 2nd, one day after the police resignations, City Council member Scott Wheeler resigned. He had served 4 years, with a term running through 2027. In a Facebook post, Wheeler cited personal attacks and attacks on city staff, and drama during the election, and actions taken that day by the incoming administration. 4 days later, on January 6th, hours before a scheduled city council meeting, Councilwoman Piper Broadsack resigned. Her Facebook statement said that due to the current political climate of the town, she and others had faced harassment and threats. She said she could no longer represent the city in good faith. Broadsack had 2 years remaining on her term. Her resignation left the 5-member council with 2 members, Amber Turner and Connor Trevelyan. Trevelyan had been in his position for approximately 1 week. Under Iowa law, a 5-member council needs at least 3 members present to conduct business. With only 2 remaining, the council fell below quorum. The scheduled meeting was canceled. All future meetings were indefinitely postponed. Mitchellville's city council cannot meet, make appointments, enter contracts, pass ordinances, or approve budgets. 1 council seat had been vacant before these resignations and was scheduled to be filled at the January 6th meeting by Shane Smith, the election runner-up. Because Wheeler and Broadsack resigned before the meeting, the appointment never happened. Once the council fell below quorum, Iowa law prohibited the remaining members from appointing replacements. Elaine Webb called it political strategy. She said it was all a political act. On January 7th, Public Works Director Chris Pruitt resigned. In a Facebook statement, he said the level of coordination and alignment between elected officials, the former administrator, and select citizens is deeply troubling and unprofessional. Pruitt specifically named Mayor Tony Jensen and Councilwoman Amber Turner, accusing them of creating a hostile work environment. The next day, Iowa State Auditor investigators spent several hours at Mitchellville City Hall and the library across the street, collecting evidence for a separate audit investigation of Mitchellville itself. That same afternoon, William Daggett was arrested. He turned himself in to authorities in Clark County on charges of theft in the first degree, a Class C felony, and felonious misconduct in office, a Class D felony. Gary Brown, the fired city administrator who had requested the Mitchellville audit in June, told reporters he suspected similar problems. He said some of the scenarios there were the same here. The investigation is ongoing. Kay Ridgway has lived in the area for more than 30 years. She said she had never seen the discord in the city of Mitchellville that they have now. On January 10th, Mayor Jensen released a statement saying what has occurred is a convergence of resignations, misinformation, and escalating rhetoric that has had the practical effect of impeding the normal functioning of city government. Whether intentional or not, these actions have contributed to confusion, fear, and instability within our community. He added that he does not condone hostility or harassment toward residents or city employees, online or in person. Hostile or disparaging behavior does not move our community forward. Respectful, constructive dialogue does. On February 17, 2026, Mitchellville will hold a special election to fill 3 vacant city council seats, 1 4-year term and 2 2-year terms. Candidates need at least 25 signatures. The filing deadline is January 23rd at 5 p.m. After the election, assuming 3 people are elected and choose to serve, the City Council will have a quorum again. It will be able to meet, conduct business, and finalize a contract with the Polk County Sheriff's Office for law enforcement coverage. Until then, the city operates in suspension. Essential services continue. The sheriff provides coverage without a formal agreement. Taxpayers will eventually receive the bill. A firing, an audit revelation, a resignation, another resignation. Then, several at once. Each event fed the next until the basic functions of governance stopped. The people of Mitchellville did not create this crisis. They are not responsible for the financial fraud documented in Baxter. They are not responsible for the hostile environment described by resigning officials. They are not responsible for the timing of resignations that eliminated the council's quorum. They are living with the consequences. They wait longer for emergency response. They pay for county coverage without knowing the cost. They watch their community described in news reports as divided, dysfunctional, and unable to govern itself. They try to figure out if this place is still worth calling home. Mitchellville today is a town of approximately 2,500 people with no local police force, no functioning city council, a mayor with no council to work with, 2 council members with no quorum to meet with, and a February election that will determine whether basic governance can be restored. The Iowa State Auditor's investigation continues. The results will answer some questions. They will not repair what has already been broken. When the institutions people depend on fail, the people who suffer are the ones who depended on them most.